When you hear people talk about how to fix our politics and our government, you often hear about campaign finance reform and redistricting reform, restrictions on how people can invest money, like in Congress, and make money off of inside information, the revolving door of lobbyists. And these are all really important reforms to help improve our electoral system. But there's actually one set of reforms that I think not enough people are talking about. And I think it has to do with just the sheer amount of elected officials that we have in this country. Just to give you a sense, I live in New York City, right? And in New York, we have multiple primary elections scheduled each year. And on any given year, I could be voting for city council, state assembly, state senator, borough president, public advocate, city comptroller. You could be voting for state attorney general. You could be voting for the governor. You could be voting for the mayor, right? I can go on and on and on and on. And for each one of these offices, and there's sometimes county committees, depending on what your party is. Like sometimes there's like special offices just for Democrats or Republicans that are on the ballot as well. And what happens is you vote, first of all, you've got to vote multiple times, and often you don't know what different people's jobs are. It's really hard to keep track of, who does what. But also, these people become experts at passing the buck. You ask, your city council member about whether the trash is getting picked up, and they point to the borough president, who points to the state assembly member, who points to the state senator, who points to the governor. And with all these people, there's no accountability. And I think whether you live in New York or elsewhere, you might have this experience, especially if you live in like one of these suburban counties. Sometimes there's overlapping government between who's in charge of the county versus who's in charge of your town or city, and then the state. And so what I would do is I think we need a movement to actually have fewer elected officials in this country. And there's actually a model for this. I spent some time in Mississippi running schools, and I met this guy named William Winters, who was the former governor of the state. But before he was governor, he ran for a job called state tax collector. And he ran on a really interesting platform. His platform was to get rid of the office of state tax collector. And I want to encourage you out there, perhaps consider running for an office, not because of what you would do in that office, but how you would get rid of that office. Because I actually think simplifying government, getting rid of some of these offices and putting more and more things under the control of fewer and fewer elected officials would actually help everybody. It would help those elected officials because their jobs would be simpler, and it would help us because we'd have fewer people to learn about as we go to the ballot box and more accountability. So just an idea. If you like it, go out there and run.